One Piece teaches us to eat the fruits of the devil, so that the demon grants us its power. Whoever eats a devil fruit is inhabited by the demon and inherits the powers of the demon. These powers are multiple, ranging from the transformation into an animal called Zoan, to the manipulation of elements called Logia, and finally to the modification of the body called Paramecia. The fruit is divine and can reappear at the death of the user, to be eaten later by another person. These fruits refer to the fruits of paradise. In the myth of Genesis, the devil promises to grant to the one who eats its fruit power, glory, and fortune. In return, the user will not be able to swim and will be vulnerable to sea water. For the user of the fruit, sea water is like kryptonite. Kryptonite acts by weakening and collapsing Kryptonians by removing their superpowers. One might wonder why devil fruit users are not compatible with sea water. Probably because the devil is the enemy and adversary of the world, which makes his children the enemies of the sea planet of One Piece. Because yes, the planet of One Piece, also called Blue Planet, is almost entirely covered in water, with the Blue Sea and the 5 oceans, which are East Blue, North Blue, West Blue, South Blue, and the Road of All Perils, also called Grand Line. Grand Line is separated into 2 parts, Paradise and the New World. In order to travel on these dangerous waters, sailors use a special tool, the log pose. These tools are used to indicate nearby islands and recharge from island to island. While some islands are extremely cold, others are extremely hot. The climate as well as the environment of the islands vary very frequently depending on the islands. The world of One Piece is a globe covered approximately 80% by water. The ocean makes up the majority of its surface. It could be theorized that the first inhabitants or original inhabitants of this planet are the fishmen, who are often taken as hostages and enslaved by the celestial dragons, particularly because of their superior physical strength compared to the humans of One Piece. Thus, the fishmen who eat devil fruits do not die of asphyxiation by the waters like the other races, but they remain unable to swim underwater due to the adversity of water for the users. The one called adversary of water is the devil, because the devil is a deserter and an outlaw. The outlaw has no law, but water is the law of the word Waterloo, which means the natural law of waters. The rest of humanity probably appeared after with the emergence of lands, terrains, and territories. The land mass of One Piece consists only of islands and a single large mountain range, the Red Line, which surrounds the globe, representing a very small proportion compared to the water. Although an exact percentage is not given, it can be deduced that more than 90% of the planet's surface is oceanic, because the land masses are limited to islands and the Red Line. To strike one's Waterloo is a Quebec expression that means to encounter an obstacle such as the sea, or to suffer a failure such as drowning. He who tells the truth is the devil, and he who lies is God, knowing in advance the conditions of the devil and his fruits, just as we know in advance the conditions of God and his ocean. Devils sail the oceans to liberate peoples and others to oppress them. The one who opens our eyes to the subjects that interest us is the devil, and the one who closes our eyes to the obvious is God. The obvious is as tactical as the scheme that precipitated Adam and Eve, as well as Lucifer, to rebel. Either God is omniscient and knows everything in advance, or he is lax and lets things slide. God is excessively indulgent, tolerant, and permissive to the point of letting the devil get ahead of him. The devil is in front and put forward by God to explain the origin of his world. The origin of this world is both diabolical and parametric. The devil is that variable on which the coefficients and equations depend. He leads the world on his boat, on his cloud, and he is the simple and simplistic value of the option that humans make, whose choice allows to adapt an application and a device to the living environment of those who choose him. I will end by quoting the words of the final antagonist of FullMetal Alchemist Brotherhood, who is called Father. And Father says, I just wanted to know everything. Hence the reason for a delay. I wanted to know everything about this world. I simply wanted to be free to be able to evolve in this vast universe. Why do you refuse to be mine God? Why are you not satisfied with the time that has passed? And the entity Z answers him, because you do not even believe in yourself. You may seek strength from others. You may have evolved among men. The only thing that interests you is the idea of a single and supreme divinity. Despite the time you have not evolved at all, what did you believe? To be able to transcend humanity by drawing a line under the 7 deadly sins? Let me laugh. Father replied, all I wanted was to become the perfect being. I wanted to know everything about this world. What is wrong with wanting? What is wrong with desiring? What is wrong with hoping? And now tell me who you really are, and tell me who you are to tell me all this. Who do you think you are? Entity Z replied, I will tell you, I am what you call the world. I am the universe, or God, or the truth, or everything, or one. In fact, I am you. The truth punishes arrogance by throwing despair on those who overdo it. It distributes well-thought-out despair to calm any desire for human arrogance. That is all the truth. So I'm going to give you a little despair too, you who have known nothing else, and who say that you are untouchable. Father says, after seeing the door to the original chaos opening, no, I don't want to go back there. I don't want to stop. I can never stay locked up there. No, I don't want to. And Entity Z says to him, you go from arrogance to despair. Father asks him, how should I have lived? Entity Z answers, you are going to know the end you so desired. Father replies again and again, how should I have lived? What should I have done with my life? Entity Z ends by saying, it seems to me that you already had the answer to this question. In FullMetal Alchimist Brotherhood, the phrase, one is all is one is not a simple phrase, but a central philosophical concept taught to the Elric brothers, particularly by Izumi Curtis, who explains the idea of sacrifice and the interconnectedness of all that exists. This principle states that all life is interconnected and that everything gained must be exchanged for a sacrifice of equal value, a fundamental law of alchemy. Ed and Al ponder one is all, or the truth, when Ed recalls seeing the other side of the gate during his alchemy studies. Alphonse himself has lost his memory of the gate and the truth and requires transmutation circles for his transmutations. Their conversation revolves around the nature of truth and the universe, as well as the sacrifices necessary for both. Alphonse says, hey, brother, did you catch what the professor meant by one is all and all is one? I've been thinking about it all this time, but I still only have some vague ideas. Edward, I'm not really sure, but remember when I was weak from hunger? I ate those ants. Alphonse, you ate a lot of them. Edward, of course I did. Man, they tasted disgusting, but then they got me thinking. If I hadn't eaten them, maybe I would have died, then been eaten by them, then gone into the dirt and turned into grass, and the rabbit would have eaten that. Alphonse, you're talking about the food chain, right? Edward, yeah, but it's not just that either. A long time ago, this whole island was probably at the bottom of the sea, and tens of thousands of years from now, it could be the top of a mountain, for all we know. Alphonse, all things are connected. Is that what you mean? Edward, everything we see, every person we meet, is caught up in a great invisible flow. But it's bigger than that. It's the whole world, the whole universe even. And compared to something that big, well, you and I are tiny, not even the size of an ant. We're just a small part of a much larger flow, nothing more than a fraction of the whole. But put all those tiny fractions together, and you get a great whole. As the professor said, the law of this universe obeys laws of such magnitude that you and I can't even imagine. The devil is this entity that explains everything. He is the intelligence of Yahweh, the Samel of this world. What drives you to want to know or to know things? Is it temptation or curiosity? And what is wrong with being curious about what we desire? It is often said that curiosity is an ugly flaw that pushes us to progress. It is seen as a negative quality, especially when it becomes indiscretion or intrusion into the private lives of others. However, this idea is called into question because by arguing and developing, curiosity is actually a valuable quality that pushes us to learn, to innovate, and to progress. Accept the demon that is in you, because the devil is an intelligence that allows you to be self-critical about the so-called established facts. Oda tells us that Luffy ate his devil fruit because the demon that inhabits that fruit chose him. But from the perspective of Luffy's orientation, he ate that fruit because he was hungry. Devils descend upon all sinful unbelievers as a slander for them. Luffy is glutton